What's up, Transformers fans? Mondo here with a Moonbase 84 transmission. Last week, the TFW 2005 website shared part of an interview that Hasbro CEO Chris Cox did with Bloomberg. In the interview, he said that Hasbro will no longer be co-funding movies for its brands and will focus more on gaming. This news seems to have caused a lot of craziness in the fandom. I have seen some wild speculation by fans and sadly some YouTube channels saying that Transformers is all over and done with, meaning not just the movies, the whole brand itself. And sadly some YouTube channels as well are speculating this. And while the news on the movie front isn't great and definitely hurts us ever getting a sequel to Transformers 1, I wanted to do this video to kind of stop the madness and report what was really said. But quickly before I do, please hit the like button, subscribe, and all that jazz, and I'd really appreciate it. Let me start by just saying that this is in no way defending Hasbro as a company or Chris Cox. But unfortunately, the properties we love are owned and controlled by corporations who are first and foremost in it to make money. They need to turn profits to keep their properties going. If they don't make money, they stop producing the properties. That's just how it works, and then we stop getting the things we love. More unfortunate is the brand that we love here on the channel, Transformers, is owned by a company that is run by some pretty scummy people. People who seem to have no problem to lay off their employees during the holidays and other things of that nature. Obviously, I bring this up is because Chris Cox cited the underperformance of Transformers 1 at the box office as one of the things that, made them ultimately decide they weren't going to co-fund movies anymore. Now, just because Hasbro isn't going to any longer co-finance any movies, that does not mean that there will never be a movie based off a Hasbro property again. I went and checked out the article on the Bloomberg website, and that's what you're looking at now, and it's pertaining to the movies. And it clearly says, while studios such as Sony Group and Lionsgate Entertainment will continue to make movies based on the company's products, Hasbro itself won't co-finance the films. So again, just because Hasbro isn't putting any money towards movies does not mean there won't be any Hasbro-based movies ever. I will admit though that it's concerning that Paramount wasn't mentioned in the article, because obviously they've been the ones handling Transformers, and I would assume that if we were to get a Transformers 1 sequel, it would come from Paramount. But that does not mean that if Hasbro wanted to switch studios and work with another studio, that we want to get some form of movie from that said new studio. But again, that would be a little sad because I really want a sequel to Transformers 1. Now let's talk a little bit about where in the article talks about the Hasbro shift to focus on gaming. To me, it makes sense that Hasbro would want to focus on gaming because gaming is now the biggest moneymaker in the entertainment industry. When I grew up in the 80s, the business model was you produce cartoons that were basically commercials to sell toys, and it worked, even though we as kids never really thought of it as being commercials. We just loved the cartoons and wanted the toys. Now that gaming is so prevalent, it makes sense to use games to sort of take the place of cartoons in a way. But I stress again, that does not mean that the cartoons are going to go away and that there'll never be another Transformers cartoon, which is another theory out there. In the article, Chris Cox did mention the declining toy sales for another reason why he wanted to focus more on gaming. And I think that part of the article is what sent these clickbait channels and just fans wildly speculating that there won't be any more Transformers toys, the brand is done. But you have to look at it from a company standpoint. when he says declining toy sales, he means for the whole Hasbro company, and Transformers has actually been doing really well lately. It's one of Hasbro's best brands currently, and a lot of that I think has to do with the 40th anniversary, but it's one of their strongest brands, so I don't think they're gonna scrap the toy line. So that about wraps this video up. I just wanted to share with you what was really said in the article. Basically, it's just Hasbro shifting its strategy from co-funding movies to using those resources to focus on gaming. And even though our chances of getting a sequel to Transformers 1 looks pretty grim, this doesn't mean that there will never be another Transformers movie or any other Hasbro movie for that matter. It doesn't mean that there won't be any more Transformers cartoons, and it definitely doesn't mean that the toy line is soon to be over. Transformers is not quote-unquote cooked, as the kids say. Any channel or any other source who claims that are just clickbaiting you, and fans who are speculating these things are just spewing the nonsense that they got from these sources. And I truly and honestly hate having to say that, but what I hate more is the spreading of false claims and misinformation. Comment to let me know your thoughts on all of this, and as always, thanks for docking.